The Galactic Council's chamber shimmered with light from its massive crystalline walls, reflecting a kaleidoscope of colors across the gathered representatives. The room hummed with the tension of hundreds of alien voices, their languages blending into a chaotic symphony of displeasure. At the center of the Grand Hall stood Ambassador Elena Voss, Earth's representative, her posture rigid, her expression a mixture of defiance and resignation. Around her, the Council's holographic display projected a rotating image of Earth, a blue-green sphere marred by a bold red line slashed through its center. "The evidence is clear," intoned the Sarkin delegate, his serpentine form coiling tighter around his pedestal. His voice was cold, precise, and unyielding. Earth's reckless disregard for established protocols cannot be ignored. Their experiments with zero-point energy jeopardize not only their world, but the fabric of space itself. Their hubris is a danger to us all. Elena stepped forward, her voice steady though she felt the weight of every eye upon her. Humanity's advancements are not reckless. They are necessary. We have achieved what no other species dared attempt, and instead of celebration, we are met with condemnation. Is innovation now a crime in this council? A murmur rippled through the chamber, some murmurs of agreement, others of disdain. From a distant corner, a sharp voice cut through the noise. "Innovation without restraint is destruction," declared the Azaran representative, their crystalline form glinting under the chamber's lights. "Your actions threaten the delicate balance we have preserved for millennia. Earth's arrogance is not compatible with this council's values." Elena clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. She knew the odds of changing their minds were slim, but she pressed on. "Balance? Is that what you call stagnation? While we advance, you cling to traditions that stifle progress. Humanity refuses to be shackled by fear of the unknown." The council president, a towering figure of shimmering golden light, raised a hand to silence the assembly. "The council has deliberated," the president said, their voice resonant and impartial. "Earth's membership is hereby revoked. Effective immediately, all council resources will be withdrawn, and no member state shall provide aid or trade to Earth. This is the will of the council." Elena stood motionless as the decree echoed through the chamber. She had prepared for this moment, but the finality of it still struck her like a physical blow. The murmurs resumed, louder now, as delegates began to withdraw from their pedestals, their holographic forms winking out one by one. Within moments, the Grand Hall felt emptier, colder. Returning to her shuttle, Elena avoided the gaze of her staff. They had supported her, believed in her ability to sway the council, and now their shared failure hung in the air like a storm cloud. Only when the vessel's door sealed behind her did she allow her composure to falter. She leaned against the cold metal wall, her breath shallow and uneven. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. The ban was met with a cacophony of reactions. Protests erupted in the streets, denouncing the council's decision as unjust and hypocritical. Scientists and engineers rallied, vowing to prove humanity's worth through their creations. World leaders convened emergency meetings, their voices rising in heated debates about the future. Among them was President Marcus Kane, a former engineer turned statesman known for his unyielding determination. Standing before a sea of cameras, he addressed the planet. "Today we have been cast aside," he began, his deep voice carrying both anger and resolve. "But we are not defeated. Humanity has always thrived in adversity. When the storms came, we built shelters. When the stars seemed out of reach, we built ships. And now, faced with isolation, we will build an empire." The speech galvanized the population. Kane's words were not just a rallying cry. They were a declaration of independence from a galaxy that had deemed them unworthy. Across the planet, people from all walks of life began to unite under a shared purpose. Engineers worked tirelessly in underground labs, designing faster ships and stronger defenses. Scientists unlocked new ways to harness energy, determined to prove their innovations were not a danger, but a gift to the universe. Among those leading the charge was Dr. Arya Solis, the physicist whose zero-point energy experiments had been the Council's main point of contention. She worked with a fervor bordering on obsession. Her lab, a chaotic blend of half-finished prototypes and scrawled equations. Aria's guilt weighed heavily on her. She had not intended for her work to become a weapon in a political war. Yet now, she saw no choice but to push forward, to refine her discoveries and ensure Earth's survival. Her assistant, Ravi Patel, watched her with growing concern. "Arya, you've been at this for 30 hours straight," he said, placing a cup of coffee on her cluttered desk. "You need to rest. Burning out won't help anyone." "I can't stop now," she replied, her voice hoarse but resolute. "They think we're dangerous? Fine. Let's show them what danger really looks like." She caught herself, the weight of her own words settling over her. "Not to destroy," she added softly, "but to protect. To prove that we belong." As Earth mobilized, the galaxy watched with a mixture of curiosity and unease. Reports trickled in of humanity's rapid advancements, their technology evolving at an unprecedented pace. Some whispered that Earth's isolation had only made them stronger. Others feared what a unified and determined humanity might unleash. Back in the Galactic Council, not all were satisfied with the decision to ban Earth. Counselor Tvon, a diplomat from a minor species long overshadowed by the larger powers, voiced his dissent in private circles. "We have made a mistake," he confided to a trusted aide. "The humans are resourceful. By casting them out, we have not subdued them. We have unleashed them." On Earth, a quiet resolve settled over its people. The sting of rejection gave way to a burning desire to prove their worth, not by begging for acceptance, but by building something greater. They were no longer bound by the Council's rules, no longer constrained by its fears. In a secret meeting at a newly constructed lunar base, Earth's leaders gathered to outline their next steps. President Kane, flanked by Elena and Arya, stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. The room buzzed with energy, the air thick with anticipation. "We're not just surviving," Kane said, his voice low but firm. "We're creating. This is the beginning of a new era. We will expand, we will innovate, and we will thrive. Let the Council see what humanity is capable of when left to its own devices." As the map shifted to display potential colony sites and trade routes, Elena couldn't help but feel a spark of hope amid the uncertainty. They were outcasts now, but they were also free to chart their own destiny among the stars. The Council's rejection had forged a new unity on Earth, one born not of compliance, but of ambition. And as the meeting concluded, each participant left with a shared understanding. Humanity's story was far from over. Their empire would rise, not out of vengeance, but out of the sheer, undeniable will to thrive. The silence of space was broken by the steady hum of the Endeavour, Earth's first fully autonomous exploration vessel. Its hull gleamed under the faint light of a distant star, an embodiment of humanity's resilience and ingenuity. Inside, Commander Elias Drake stood in the bridge, his sharp gaze fixed on the holographic display mapping their trajectory. He was a man forged in the fires of Earth's struggles, his demeanor calm, yet brimming with a quiet intensity. This mission, like so many others, was a testament to humanity's refusal to be silenced. Behind him, Dr. Arya Solis reviewed the energy readings, her hands moving deftly across the console. Months of refining the zero-point energy core had culminated in this. The Endeavour was not just a ship, but a declaration of Earth's technological prowess. Ravi Patel, her loyal assistant, hovered nearby, his usually cheerful demeanor subdued as he monitored the fluctuating data. "This system looks promising," Arya said, pointing to a cluster of uncharted planets. "Preliminary scans indicate abundant resources. If we can establish a foothold here, we'll have the foundation for our first true off-world colony." Elias nodded but remained cautious. Promising doesn't mean safe. We've already seen how quickly promises can turn into threats. He gestured to the tactical officer. "Keep our defenses on standby. I want full sensor sweeps every 5 minutes." The crew worked in concert, their movements fluid and precise. They were not just explorers. They were pioneers, the vanguard of humanity's empire. Every decision carried the weight of Earth's future, a burden they all bore willingly. The first contact with the alien species came 2 days later, during a routine reconnaissance of a mineral-rich moon. The initial readings had suggested the moon was uninhabited, but as the Endeavour approached its surface, a fleet of sleek, angular ships emerged from the shadows of a nearby asteroid belt. Their designs were unlike anything the crew had encountered before, their black holes absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Elias immediately took command. "Shields up! Open a communications channel." His voice was steady, but the tension in the room was palpable. Static crackled through the speakers before a voice, sharp and clipped, filled the bridge. "Human vessel, you have trespassed on sovereign territory. Identify yourselves and state your intentions." Elias exchanged a glance with Arya, who gave a subtle nod. "This is Commander Elias Drake of the Earth vessel Endeavour. We are explorers seeking peaceful expansion and mutual cooperation. We mean no harm." There was a long pause, and then the voice returned, colder this time. "The Galactic Council's outcasts dare to call themselves explorers? Your kind has no place here." The bridge fell silent as the insult hung in the air. Elias's jaw tightened, but he kept his composure. "We are not here to debate politics. If this is your territory, we will respect that. But perhaps we can discuss a mutually beneficial arrangement." The alien fleet didn't respond with words. Instead, their ships began to close the distance, their weapon systems lighting up on the Endeavour's sensors. Elias's command was immediate. "Evasive maneuvers. Prepare to engage if necessary." The ship lurched as the pilot executed a sharp turn, the hum of the engines rising in intensity. The ensuing battle was a desperate dance of strategy and survival. The Endeavour's shields held against the initial barrage, but the alien ships were fast, their weapons precise. Robbie's voice cut through the chaos as he relayed damage reports, his usually steady hands trembling as he tapped at the controls. Arya worked frantically to stabilize the energy core, rerouting power to critical systems while cursing under her breath. "This isn't just a defensive fleet," she muttered to herself. "They're testing us?" Elias heard her and frowned. "Testing us for what?" "To see if we're worth wiping out," she replied grimly. Despite the odds, the crew's coordination and the Endeavour's advanced technology turned the tide. A well-timed pulse from the ship's experimental energy cannon disabled 2 enemy vessels, forcing the remaining ships to retreat. The bridge erupted in a mix of cheers and exhausted sighs as the immediate threat passed, but the victory was bittersweet. Elias stared at the retreating ships, his expression unreadable. "They know we're here now. This won't be the last time we face them." Arya looked up from her console, her face pale but resolute. "Then we'd better make sure we're ready when they come back." The encounter marked a turning point for the mission. It was no longer just about exploration. It was about survival and proving that Earth's empire could hold its own in a hostile galaxy. The crew worked tirelessly, fortifying their defenses and refining their strategies. Messages were sent back to Earth, detailing the skirmish and the need for stronger alliances. It was during this time that the crew encountered another alien species, one far different from their recent adversaries. On a barren planet orbiting a dying star, they discovered a small settlement of insectoid beings struggling to survive. Their technology was rudimentary, their resources depleted, and yet they had managed to endure. The settlement's leader, a frail but dignified figure named Tar, approached the humans with cautious hope. "You are not of the Council," Tar said, their voice clicking with a strange rhythm. "Why have you come?" Elias knelt to meet Tar's gaze, his tone gentle but firm. "We're looking for allies. We've been cast out just like you." The alien hesitated, studying him with multifaceted eyes. "The Council abandoned us long ago. They said we were unworthy of their aid." Arya stepped forward, her voice filled with quiet determination. "Then join us. Together, we can build something better, an empire that doesn't abandon those in need." Tara's antennae twitched as they considered her words. After a moment, they extended a spindly limb, a gesture of trust. "We will try." The partnership with Tar's people marked the beginning of Earth's first true alliance. Word of their cooperation spread quickly, reaching other marginalized species who saw in humanity a chance for something different. Slowly but surely, the foundation of Earth's empire began to take shape, not through conquest, but through connection. As the Endeavor prepared to leave the system, Elias stood on the observation deck, gazing out at the stars. Arya joined him, her presence a comforting steadiness. "We're making progress," she said, her voice soft but filled with pride. Elias nodded, though his expression remained serious. "Progress comes with a price. The Council won't ignore us forever." Arya placed a hand on his arm, her grip firm. "Let them come. We've faced worse, and we're still standing." Elias allowed a faint smile. For now, the ship's engines roared to life, propelling them toward the next uncharted system. Behind them, the embers of a new alliance flickered to life, fragile but growing stronger with every passing moment. Ahead lay unknown challenges, but for the crew of the Endeavor, the path was clear. They would keep pushing forward, no matter the cost. Earth's empire was no longer a dream. It was becoming a reality. The cold silence of space was deceptive, masking the storm brewing across the galaxy. The Council's edict had been clear. Earth and its burgeoning empire were to be contained, by force if necessary. For months, the Council had maneuvered in the shadows, hiring mercenary fleets, spreading propaganda, and applying pressure to Earth's fragile alliances. Now, their first overt strike had come, and humanity was ready. On the bridge of the Aegis, Earth's flagship, Commander Elias Drake stood tall, his presence a steadying force for the crew around him. The massive ship was a testament to humanity's ingenuity. Bristling with advanced weaponry and shielded by layers of cutting-edge technology, it was the spearhead of Earth's defense. Before them, a Council fleet loomed, its vessels sleek and ominous, their weapons glowing faintly in the void. "They're waiting for us to fire first," said Lieutenant Kara Novak, her voice tight with tension as she monitored the tactical display. The Council fleet had formed an imposing blockade near one of Earth's allied colonies, daring the humans to make the first move. Elias's expression hardened. "They want to paint us as the aggressors. We won't give them that satisfaction." He turned to Arya Solis, who stood at her station, her fingers flying across the console. "What's our energy status?" "The core is stable," she replied, her voice clipped but steady. "We can sustain a full barrage if it comes to that, but I'd recommend holding back until we can pinpoint their fleet's weak points." "Noted," Elias said. He paused, weighing their options. "Open a channel." The comms officer complied, and a holographic figure flickered to life before them. Council Admiral Virex, a towering insectoid being clad in ceremonial armor. Its multifaceted eyes regarded Elias with disdain. "Commander Drake," Virex began, its voice a guttural hiss. "Your defiance ends here. Surrender your fleet and disband your so-called empire, or we will ensure your species becomes a footnote in galactic history." Elias met the Admiral's gaze without flinching. "You speak of peace, yet you blockade a colony and threaten its people. We will not abandon our allies, and we will not surrender." Virex's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "So be it." The hologram vanished, and moments later, the Council fleet began its advance. The bridge of the Aegis erupted into controlled chaos as the crew prepared for battle. Arya's voice rose above the din, energy spikes detected. "Looks like they're deploying ion disruptors. If those hit, our shields won't hold." Elias's response was immediate. "Target those disruptor ships first, and signal the fleet. We'll punch a hole through their line. Once we breach, focus on protecting the colony." The battle unfolded like a deadly ballet, ships weaving through the void as weapons fire illuminated the darkness. Earth's fleet, though smaller, fought with a precision and ferocity born of necessity. The Aegis led the charge, its energy cannons tearing through enemy ships with surgical accuracy. Arya and her team worked tirelessly to maintain the core's output, while Ravi coordinated damage control efforts, his calm demeanor a counterpoint to the chaos around him. The Council fleet fought back with overwhelming force, their numbers threatening to crush the humans through sheer weight alone. A sudden explosion rocked the Aegis, and alarms blared as a nearby frigate was torn apart. Elias gritted his teeth, his hands gripping the console. Status? Starboard shields down to 40%, Kara reported, her voice strained. We're losing support ships faster than we can cover them. Elias's mind raced. They couldn't sustain these losses, not against an enemy so determined to annihilate them. He turned to Arya. Can we overload the core? Give the fleet enough power for a concentrated strike. Arya hesitated, her expression a mix of determination and doubt. It's risky. If we push it too far, the core could destabilize. We don't have a choice, Elias said, his voice firm. Do it. Arya nodded and dove into her work, her hands a blur of motion as she rerouted energy flows and bypassed safety protocols. The hum of the ship's engines deepened, a low vibration that resonated through every deck. We got one shot at this, she said. Make it count. Elias relayed the plan to the fleet, a coordinated strike on the Council's command ship, using the Aegis as the spearhead. The risks were monumental, but the reward, shattering the enemy's cohesion, was worth it. As the fleet repositioned, the Council forces closed in, their ships converging on the Aegis. The flagship trembled under the assault, its shields flickering dangerously. But Elias's crew held firm, their resolve unshaken. Core at maximum capacity, Arya announced, sweat beading on her forehead. We're ready. Elias gave the order, and the Aegis unleashed its full power. A blinding beam of energy tore through space, striking the Council's command ship with unrelenting force. The vessel's shields collapsed, and secondary explosions rippled across its hull. The Council fleet faltered, their formations breaking as confusion spread. Earth's fleet seized the moment, pressing the advantage with relentless precision. One by one, the enemy's ships retreated, their will to fight shattered. Cheers erupted across the Aegis, but Elias remained focused, his gaze fixed on the tactical display. We've won the battle, he said, his voice tempered with caution. But the war is far from over. As the crew began assessing the damage and regrouping, a message arrived from the colony below. It was from Counselor Tvon, the unlikely ally who had risked everything to warn Earth of the impending attack. The hologram of the diminutive alien flickered to life, its eyes filled with a mix of relief and urgency. You've proven your strength, Tvon said. But the Council will not stop here. They will regroup, and they will come for you with greater force. Elias nodded, his jaw set. Let them come. We'll be ready. Tvon hesitated before speaking again. There are others, species who have grown disillusioned with the Council's tyranny. If you can rally them, you may yet stand a chance. Arya, standing beside Elias, spoke up. We don't just want to stand a chance. We want to build something better. Tvon's antennae twitched in what might have been agreement. Then build quickly, Commander. The galaxy is watching. As the hologram faded, Elias turned to his crew, his expression one of fierce determination. We've sent a message today, he said, his voice carrying the weight of their shared struggles. We've shown the galaxy that Earth won't back down. But this is just the beginning. If we want to survive, if we want to thrive, we have to keep fighting, keep building, and keep pushing forward. The crew nodded, their faces reflecting the same unyielding resolve. The battle had been won, but the road ahead was long and treacherous. Still, they knew one truth above all. Humanity's empire was no longer just an idea. It was a reality, forged in the fires of adversity and tempered by their unshakable will. And as the Aegis set course for its next mission, the stars seemed just a little brighter, their light a beacon guiding Earth's empire into an uncertain but boundless future.